Beach day today. Headed up to Hermosa Beach and Long Beach for some fun with some inverter replacements. But anyhow, got out sort of early. It's around 6:30 now. 2-hour drive to the beach, and we'll see what happens. Should be a fun day. Quick little stop at the Despot to pick up a few bits and pieces, connectors, yada yada, so that I can be ready for whatever I find out there. Alright, so at this job here in Hermosa Beach, and so it's in this little alleyway, kind of tight little spot here, and here's the inverter. Indeed is not working. It's got one set of string wires here that aren't connected. Maybe we're ground faulting, maybe something else. And I've got no DC coming from the roof here, so it's got good AC, no DC, so I need to get up on the roof. It's a pretty tall roof, but just so happens there's all this scaffolding next door, so I'm going to give a try, see if I can get up on this and lean across to the roof up there if it feels safe. I'll figure it out when I get there, but anyhow, that's the next step, is get up on the roof. Okay, made it up on the roof. I just climbed the outside of the scaffolding till I got up to this level. I was able to jump across onto this roof. It was an easy jump. Come over here, and here's the panels. Nothing immediately jumps out, but I think I'll be able to figure it out. Near the coast, so you get a lot of rust, and by near the coast, I mean it's right there. People playing volleyball, seagulls, the whole thing. What an amazing place. Okay, first thing I see on this roof are these connectors that are not together. They're taped up. That to me means somebody has repaired this at one other time and found that when they use that string it ground faults the inverter, so they just went ahead and disconnected it, and there it sits. So there's probably a ground fault somewhere in this, maybe not necessarily connected to what I'm doing. It may be able to run partially with me connecting it. There's somebody's jumper, somebody did a repair or a test, but anyway, this had problems before the inverter failed, and we'll see if I can resolve any of it here. Okay, so started investigating this. Very rusty box, barely opens, from next to the ocean. It's an old SMA combiner. I remember these from back in the day. It's got individual string fuses, and they segmented the breaker and join it at the bottom. No voltage in there. I got like 12 volts, 16 volts, which is not a real voltage for this. So I just started looking under the array, figuring out what's going on, trying to figure out where the strings are. And so it's a forest under there, but I noticed one wire on the ground over there. I pulled the other end of it, and here it is. It's fried. Still live, as they are, but so that's the initial first problem, is that a connector burned, and it's a module lead, it looks like, and so I can put a new end on that and see if I get decent voltage. It's going to be a little bit of a pain because it's like in there. I might be able to reach it. I don't want to unbuild these things alone. It's, you know, way too far of a drop. It's a 20-foot drop down there. I'm not taking one of these panels apart, but I say that now, and then I probably will. But anyway, that's what needs to happen initially, and then we'll see if that gets us any voltage to get this thing started. In reality, this thing needs to be re-gone through completely, so I'm not sure what the plan is by the originator who's doing this job, but we'll see. Okay, so yeah, I did pull up these modules. Wasn't too bad, but what I needed to do is be able to unplug one of these over here so that this one would become safe. And so you're dealing with one module's worth of voltage rather than a whole string now. So I can replace this burned end and the other burned end, which is right there, I'll replace those, connect them back together. We'll see what happens. Oh, look, my flashlight's sitting there. Ha! And right next to that burn hole, that's where the module lead came apart and melted. So I'll put some Pookie on that. Okay, there's the burn connection. This used to have a plug on it and plugged right into there. Melted, which is not totally unusual, but perhaps being so close to the ocean caused the issue. Actually, solar panels had a minimum distance from the ocean for their warranty. I'm not sure. Some were closer than others, but I think this is closest than I've ever seen. Meaning it couldn't get any closer, and so the warranty was probably void on these. They're ET modules, 200 watt. I did unbuild these two, and I'm just about to tighten them back down again, but took that to get into to reach the burned leads down there. So anyway, got it together, tested my voltage here, and had good voltage. So at least one string is working so far. I'm going to see if I can get this other string over there working that was disconnected before I got here. Okay, so I had seen when I got here, these two leads were just taped up, and I thought, well, maybe somebody had a ground fault and they just taped these up so that nobody tried to use them. But look inside the connectors, which you can do. I don't know if it'll work on the camera, but inside there I should see the metal part of it, and same with this one. I should see a nice clean bright metal part, but what I see is a burned looking part. So I'm going to replace those two and see if that does what I need to do to get this second string operating. And it's the kind of thing, well, yeah, it takes 5 minutes, but it was 20 years to figure it out. So I will charge accordingly. Okay, I fixed that obvious one with the tape on it, thinking I was so smart. Then I look and it didn't fix it. So I look under here, and all the modules are disconnected. That one, there's that there, one over there is just sitting there. So I don't know why. A lot of times people disconnect things for a reason. I can see one down there is disconnected, so I'm gonna call it off on trying to get this second string to work. It's gonna confuse things and slow my whole program down today. Actually, there's a spot right there that almost looks burned. I'm going to take a look at that first, see what I see. But anyhow, somebody has totally disconnected this whole thing. Okay, well, I couldn't help myself. I started getting under here and looking for burned things and broken things, and found one more. So I'm going to go back down to the truck, get another couple connectors, and put this back together, see if that solves it. Wow, it's like a seagull kind of convention over there. A lot of them. And there's kind of, they call that the Strand there. It's a boardwalk. And a lot of beach. And this here is a real clay tile roof, so not cement tile, but real clay. That is very difficult to walk on, just that it wants to break. So you walk very carefully, and they often still break. And luckily there's another roof underneath this one, so I don't think it's a huge issue if I break one. Here, I'm not going to walk over there though, because there's not another roof under that. This skylight obviously leaks, but that's not my department. So the way you get off of here is you go over here, a nice path here, which is useful, and then I just grab onto that scaffold thing and climb down, which I'm not going to do with one hand, but it's actually kind of fun. Well, geez, that shouldn't look like that. That's burned. I'm going to replace that. Put the corresponding end on that one. And that'll make at least 3 connectors in this array that have failed. I'm not sure why. Usually the module manufactured ones don't fail. It's usually the custom built home runs that fail. These are the module ones, and might be proximity to the ocean, might be something else, but that's what's happening here. Alright, so here's what you do to fix these. You take your strippers and you strip about that much off the end of each wire, and you get your crimpers, and you got your female and the little pin that goes inside it, and the male and the pin that goes inside that. This is going to be your negative, that's going to be your positive. You crimp it on, you put it in, you connect them together, and it's pretty easy. And I mean, as far as working conditions goes, what could be better than this? Alone on a roof with about a zillion seagulls flying by right next to the beach. Uh-oh, I hope they don't come over me. Uh-oh. Ah, the birds. Okay, they're turning around. I didn't want them flying right over me. Anyway, good conditions. Okay, there's the finished product. Very easy. Stick them together. And look for more. Oh, okay. So I took these apart so that when I strip those wires, I'm not grabbing live wires. So take this one apart, and then I have one on the other side over there that's apart too, that I'll go put those together. And I think at that point I'll go test again and see if I got voltage. Another successful job. Found, I think, about 4 or 5 different connectors over there that were burned, and then a bunch of them were disconnected, and the ones that were disconnected sat there and rusted or corroded for who knows however many years. So basically replaced almost every connector over there. Over here there was just the one burned one. Put that back together, got voltage on both strings in the combiner. Now I'm going to go down and see if the inverter works, but highly successful on the roof anyway, and couldn't ask for nicer working conditions. Now I'm going to go down and not fall off this large scaffolding. Cool place down in there. I think that's a hot tub. Nice little courtyard. Alright, success. Got 1500 watts coming out of this inverter, and it's totally cloudy day, so I think 1500 is good for this. That's probably about half of what we'll see eventually. We can look over here at the meter. See that the meter is, well, this meter here, you can see is going forward. The arrow is pointing this way. That's a different meter. That's for a different unit. Arrow pointing to the right. This meter down here, this is the one I just attached to, it's pointing to the left, as you can see right there. So that's pointing left. That means it's back feeding. And if we look at it for another minute or so, we'll see some negative numbers. Okay, right now it's very slight, negative 0.9 kilowatts. So negative 900 watts. So the inverter was producing 1300. It's going backwards 900. So that means the house is consuming like 400 watts. So that's very minimal. But anyway, so right now they are earning money against their utility bill. And that's on a super cloudy day. So anyhow, big success. Glad the scaffolding was here. I climbed it like 5 times or more to get up to that roof, and I'll move on to the next job, which is to actually replace an inverter in Long Beach. Beach day. Okay, door number 2 for today over in the next beach town, Long Beach. I'm going to replace an inverter here and see if I can get this one to operate easily. I'm a little concerned it might be a roof problem, but all the troubleshooting signs before pointed to bad inverter. So I have a new inverter. I'm going to put it on and try to fire it up. If there's a problem, then I'll get on the roof. Hopefully not, but either way, beautiful day here, and another sunny day in paradise, and job number 2, which will make it a productive day. See what happens. Okay, got that inverter down, and from the Department of Not How You Do It, that's not how you look for a stud. For one thing, you don't need studs with these kind of setups. You use hollow walls anyway. So they used hollow wall anchors, but looked for studs in a little spider web of holiness here. But anyhow, I'm not going to do that. I need to replace the bracket because it's smaller and lower, but I just put it where I want it and use hollow wall anchors, and it holds great in stucco. So anyhow, don't do that. Alright, got the new inverter up. Had to do a little funny stuff with the conduit, but that works. Whenever you're changing inverter shapes and types, you have to just make the conduit work, which I did. But one thing that was tough was this ground wire coming from the roof was just a little short, but it just so happens that it is exactly the right length. Like, I could not have lost any more on that. Like, there was no place to pull any more. It would have been not too hard. I would have just had to splice on another piece, but you're not supposed to with the ground, and it would have just been a little bit of a hassle. So anyhow, life is just full of good luck for me, at least so far, and that could change, but over and over again, and almost always, I just have really good luck. So if I had a better screwdriver for that, such as this one, it would be even better. That one, and then this one, and that'll be that. And assuming this inverter fires up as it should, that will be the best luck of all. So let's try that. Okay, so I almost forgot, with these inverters you have to put on a little antenna. So I usually put it right here. It just hooks on there. And then I pass the cord down through here. Alright, let me just do that. Okay, so got the cable down through there, comes out the bottom here, and then I'm going to put it up through one of these guys, and then it goes up and it plugs in right there. Okay, so got it up through there, through this little gland, as they're called. Tighten that up, and they give you just enough cable to get it up in here, and it goes circuitously up through here. Let's see, up through there. Through here. Okay, got that. And then I'm going to plug it in here. And then when I get in the app, I insert the customer's Wi-Fi password, and that gets it in there. Alright. That's kind of funny, but that's how that goes. Okay, now it's time to turn it on. Alright, got her done just in time for it to start raining. Second job of the day, and another success story. And lots of good luck. Wires just long enough. Nothing to do on the roof. Dog didn't bite. Nice people. And didn't take too long to do the upgrade. So anyhow, leaving this back alley here in Long Beach and headed home.